It's time to talk Trump with the 31st President of the United States' great-granddaughter, Miss Margaret Hoover, and let's see what she has to say about this year's Democratic and Republican nominee. Hey guys, Alex Ho here for Panther Report, and I got to sit down with media personality, feminist, and author of American Individualism: How a Generation of Conservatives Can Save the Republican Party. And of course, we got to the hottest topic of all, Donald Trump. Here's what she had to say about this year's Republican nominee.
Well, I don't think he's presidential at all. I don't think he's presidential material. Okay, I come from a really specific sort of strain of Republicans, and really I even bring something quite personal to this, is that I happen to sort of coincidentally be descendant from a president. My great-grandfather was Margaret Hoover, who was the very first president ever to be elected to the presidency without previously being elected to any office. The only office he ever ran for was president. So I just think it's worth noting that the only other person who has ever served in elective office at the presidential level without being elected to anything else was actually an international humanitarian who had a life of public service and had already served his country at the executive level. So from that, I think, explanation, you get a sense of, my view of what it takes to be president and the kind of qualifications somebody needs to be president. And I think Donald Trump is severely lacking.
So no holding back there. She goes on to speak of the amount of people dropping out of campaigning for the Donald, including Condoleezza Rice, Senator John McCain, and Kelly Ayotte, after a tape was released via NBC from a conversation that they had over 10 years ago, sexually violating women in the media.
I think it's fair to say you have serious defections that are meaningful. You have about 16 Republican U.S. senators. That's about a third of Republican U.S. senators who are unwilling to support him or vote for him. You don't have the whole Republican Party leaving him. I am not supporting him. A lot of people are not supporting him, but you still have a good, at least at the moment, like 35 to 40. You have it. Look, he didn't win a majority of the Republican Party in the primaries. That's worth noting, right? He won a plurality of Republican primary voters, about 45% of them. There is another example, a different vision of what the Republican Party can be that isn't Donald Trump, right? It's a Republican Party that cares about people, that cares about poverty, that cares about growing the base, that cares about making a compelling case to especially minority groups in this country who have not been part of the Republican Party since 1964. I'm talking to African Americans, Latinos, other minority groups who have been disenfranchised, LGBT Americans.
So if you've ever been on the fence about electing either one this year, well, Ms. Hoover is well aware of the concern. But what about Hillary?
Well, Hillary Clinton may be the luckiest Democratic nominee in the history of Democratic nominees. I actually have to think about who's been luckier, because fundamentally going into this, and look, today I'm going to be talking to a huge group of millennials. I've written a book about millennials. Millennials aren't that excited about Hillary Clinton. Millennials are really excited about Bernie Sanders. Millennials were really excited about Ron Paul. Millennials are really excited about Barack Obama.
That's what we're left with now. I don't like her, but I really don't like the other candidates. So it's like,
so that's really you just nailed it. That's what's really interesting. You ask, several polls have come out asking millennials, do you think Donald Trump is fit to be president? Like 70% say no. Do you think he has the temperament to be president? Between 60 and high 70% say no. Do you think he is a racist? Between 60 and 70% say yes. But then when you say, you ask them who they're going to vote for president, Hillary Clinton gets about somewhere between 40 and 46%. Trump gets like 23, 24, and then you have, the Green Party candidate and you have the Libertarian Party candidate. She's not transforming, she is not translating all of the animus for Trump into support for her.
Well, lucky just may be an understatement. Well, here's what Margaret had to say about what you should be thinking of voting time.
First of all, number one, there is a totally different kind of Republican that you are not seeing on the national stage this election because Donald Trump doesn't characterize him or even come close. And that just for people to keep in mind that maybe he's not everything. When you hear the word Republican, my hope is that people for the rest of their, especially young people, for the rest of their sort of next midterm to long-term experience in politics, don't take away the image of Donald Trump. That there are other ideas of what it is to be a Republican out there.
So I hope Ms. Margaret Hoover gave you much insight about what you should be thinking of when it comes to your next president. So for any more of your entertainment news, head over to GSTV on YouTube and type in Panther Report. And of course, we got you covered. And for next time, I am Alex Rowe.